Hey, what's up? My name's Ercy and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about some recent reads and some recent watches. So thank you for clicking on my channel and this video, and let's get started. For the portion of the video where I'm talking about the books, there's only 7 books that I'm going to be talking about. So I have 3 physical books, 1 ebook, and 3 audiobooks. And all of these I've read, I believe, in the month of January or January going into February. But yeah, these are all really recent. So I just wanted to talk about it with you guys. Let's start with the physical books. The first book that I want to talk about is Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. Now this is a reread from like high school. Like this is a really old read for me. In order to kind of better understand what this book is about, I'm just going to read the back of it. So, world-renowned Harvard symbologist Robert Langdon is summoned to a Swiss research facility to analyze a cryptic symbol seared into the chest of a murdered physicist. What he discovers is unimaginable. A deadly vendetta against a Catholic Church by a centuries-old underground organization, the Illuminati. Desperate to save the Vatican from a powerful time bomb, Langdon joins forces in Rome with the beautiful and mysterious scientist Vittoria Vetra. Together they embark on a frantic hunt through sealed crypts, dangerous catacombs, deserted cathedrals, and the most secretive vault on Earth, the long-forgotten Illuminati lair. So this was really fun. I love this book. I love this book back then, and I love this book on this reread. This book was just so much fun, and I forgot like everything about it. I just remembered it was just like Illuminati, and that was it. I just remembered having a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that I reread this because I love this. We have so many twists and turns and plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. Like it just keeps flipping on you, and I forgot how awesome this was. Now it's very fast paced and it's very much a thriller. I believe it's marketed as a thriller, mystery, fiction, something, but it's definitely like a thriller mystery. And what's awesome about it is that you get to go through a lot of these different monuments and the churches and artwork that you see in Italy and specifically in Rome. And what was really awesome about this is that I actually lived in Italy for about 3 years, and I got to actually go to some of these places, and it was really fun to just read about it and see it in my head, the specific places that was talked about in this book. It's specifically like the Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica, like some of the fountains that were mentioned. So it was really cool to kind of just see it in my head and read about it in the book at the same time. So that was really fun. And on top of that, it was really thrilling. It's in terms of like, I wanted to keep reading, and a lot of the chapters ended like on cliffhangers or like a little reveal, and then you're like, oh, well dang, I gotta read the next chapter. And the chapters are really short too, so it kind of, you can be like, okay, I'm gonna read 1 chapter, and then next thing you know, you've read like 5-6 chapters and you want to keep going and finish it out and find out what happens and try to see what the next plot twist is gonna be. So this was so much fun, and I love this book. I gave this book 5 out of 5. I believe the only 5 out of 5 this month. I love this, and I'm gonna continue in the series. The next book is The Da Vinci Code. I haven't read anything about it. I talked about it in my last video where I'm trying to go in blind, read it, and then watch the movies, because I've been waiting like 10 years to watch these movies, and I'm really excited to just get it over with, but in a good way, because it's really fun. Like, I really love these books, or this book specifically. So this is Angels and Demons by Dan Brown, and I believe this is published by Pocketstar Books. So this is really fun. I love this book so much. The next 2 books that I'm going to be talking about, both were Christmas gifts from, one is from my friend and one is from my husband. So the first one, I got this from my friends, and it's Fuck Plastic, 101 Ways to Free Yourself from Plastic and Save the World. This is by, it says it's by the F Team. And this is from Rodale Books, or from Seven Dials Books. And this is just like little tidbits on ways to reduce your use of plastic. So a lot of it were things that I have already been putting into practice, but it was cool to kind of read through it and and see a few tips that I was really like, oh wow, I didn't know that you could do that. So for example, plastic wrap. They have an alternative where it's like a beeswax wrap that you can use to save your food. And I was like, I didn't even know that existed. So that was really cool to kind of find out about. But again, a lot of other things kind of are things that you should be doing, and you kind of know that you should be doing those things. And it's just like a good little reminder. Like, I wouldn't have bought this book myself, but it was nice to get it as a gift. This was just like a fun little, I know you might like this. Here you go. So awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it was a good little read. Nice, good information to know. So if you're looking for some recommendations for how to reduce your use of plastic, I mean, you can just Google a lot of things, but this is a really good little resource. That's Fuck Plastic, 101 Ways to Free Yourself from Plastic and Save the World. So there you go. The next book, this was so much fun. This is Trumpty Dumpty Wanted a Crown by John Lithgow. And this is Verses for a Despotic Age. And so this is just a book of poetry that was written by John Lithgow about Trump. So I believe that he succeeded in what he wanted to do. He wanted to make a work that was funny, made you angry, and it made you think. Not to get like political, but you know, I felt like every day during this administration, there was just something else going on in the news. Or, I mean, there was just something new going on, a new headline, a new scandal, you know what I mean? So you tend to forget, because there was so much that happened, that you forget some of the things that were happening, because it gets trumped by the next thing, right? This was good because John Lithgow succeeded in what he wanted to do. Like, I laughed out loud. I was very upset. I wound up looking up more articles on things that I forgot about. And so this was like a good reminder. And he's like a really good poet. So this was really fun. So this was Trumpty Dumpty Wanted a Crown, Verses for a Despotic Age by John Lithgow from Chronicle Books. So this was good. And he actually wrote another one I think it's just Dumpty. And it's pretty much on the same vein of just like verses on things that have been going on throughout the administration and stuff. He succeeded in his mission, and I really like this. So again, another book I probably wouldn't have bought myself, but I got it as a gift from my husband. So I was pretty excited when I saw this. Let's go on to the next one. Next, let's talk about some ebooks, or just one ebook in particular, and that is They Call This Enemy by George Takei. And this is like a nonfiction graphic novel or nonfiction graphic memoir, and it's published by Top Shelf Productions. And this was pretty much his recollection of his time being interned at a Japanese internment camp when he was younger, him and his family. If you didn't know, that happened in the United States. Japanese Americans were looked at as enemies of the state, right, of the United States. So a lot of them were forced to go to these camps, leave their homes, leave everything behind, their businesses, everything, and go to these camps. And so George Takei was able to use this experience to be an advocate for change in terms of how people viewed Japanese Americans in the United States. So this was a really good eye-opening memoir graphic novel. And it's like an easy read because it is in this format. I was able to go through it in like a couple days. You know, I wasn't on my phone 24/7 reading it, but you know, when I did get a chance to just sit there with my phone, I was able to kind of pull it up, read it, and really learn from it. Not so much enjoy it, because I mean, we're talking about internment camps, just like learn from it and see how our society today is still not that different from how it was back then, and how we view different cultures because of things that happen. Because of the bombing at Pearl Harbor, Japanese Americans are automatically seen as the enemy. Because of the pandemic right now, Chinese Americans are facing racial violence. And this is something that's just kind of repetitive throughout history. So you would think that we'd learn, but you know, things happen and we want to be better about it. It was just good to read this and learn from it. And I'm thankful that he was able to kind of put his story out there so that way others can learn from it. And I really appreciated it for that reason. So yeah, They Call This Enemy by Takei. So that was the only ebook. I'm not really one to read ebooks because, again, like, it's hard to just sit there and read something on my phone when I have a toddler running around. But I do get to listen to stuff. So the next category is audiobooks. So the first audiobook that I listened to this year in 2021 is the Flatshare by Beth, and this is from CircesBooked, and this is a romance. I'm trying to get into more romance. I'm very weary when it comes to reading romance. I'm trying to expand my reading taste. And like, I read a few back in 2020, but this was the first one for this year, and this is the Flatshare. And so the blurb that this book kind of goes off of is, Tiffy and Leon share a flat. Tiffy and Leon share a bed. Tiffy and Leon have never met. So pretty much it's Tiffy, she needs an apartment. She needs to move out of her boyfriend's place because they broke up, and she needs someplace cheap, someplace easy that she can just go to. And Leon, he needs money, and he works nights, so he's like, while I'm working, somebody can have my apartment for the night or whatever. So they share the apartment, and they start corresponding to each other through notes, and it kind of builds from there. They start building their relationship through these notes, and it winds up like filling up their flat or their apartment until they finally do meet, because obviously it's a romance. This was actually a lot of fun. Like, I can't knock it. It is what it is. It's a romance, happy endings. What really surprised me was the talk about being in like abusive relationships and how people can be controlling without you realizing it, and that feeling or that realization that you deserve better. So I really appreciated this book because of that. I mean, there were parts that were really like steamy, but I don't think I really read it for that. I read it to see how they were able to build a relationship, and I really liked how they were able to do that throughout this novel. If you're looking for a good romance, this Flatshare by Beth is a really good one to check out. The next audiobook that I listened to was Anxious People by Fredrick Backman, and this is from CircesBooked. And now this is my first Fredrick Backman book, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed this book because it was funny, provocative, and made me think, and it was just so good. This is, I think it's just marketed as just like a fiction, but it was like the plot twists, how you're learning about different people, and how these people were able to kind of learn from each other and help each other out during this crisis. And if you don't know what this book is about a bank robbery gone wrong. And so our bank robber winds up running from the bank, going into a house showing, and taking people hostage without really intending to, and madness ensues, right? So we got perspectives from different people in the apartment that are looking at it. We have perspectives from the robber. We have perspectives from the police, the police that are trying to solve whatever it is that's going on. I think one of the taglines was, they didn't intend to take the people hostage, and this was like the worst group of hostages that this person could have ever encountered. So it was really great, and I'm really looking forward to reading more Fredrick Backman because he is a really great writer. He's very clever, very funny, and the way that he was able to write this story from all these different perspectives, it was so much fun to just read this book and just have like a good time while trying to figure out what's really going on, or the various problems are going to get fixed, because everyone in the situation, like, you kind of get to know like background from everyone in there, and you would think that it's overwhelming because it's like a group of 8 people or something, but it's actually not, because everyone is kind of interwoven together in a way that makes sense. You kind of get this perspective of like humanity at the end of it, right? Like how we're all just normal people, but we're all kind of going through it. I really loved it, and I'm looking forward to reading more of his work because this was just really, really great. So that's Anxious People by Fredrick Backman from CircesBooked. The last audiobook that I want to talk about, and the last book that I'm going to talk about today, is In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle, and this is also from CircesBooked. This book is marketed as a romance, but I am going to go and say that I don't think it's a romance. I think it would have been better marketed as like a contemporary, like an adult contemporary with like sort of a sci-fi twist, but not really, because it wasn't really that much. let me break it down. So we have our protagonist. Her name is Dani. Everything that she's planned for her life, like she's set out to accomplish. Like she's very goal oriented, and her boyfriend is the same. And so she just got the job. She landed the job. She just got engaged. Things are going great. It's just what she planned. She goes to sleep. She wakes up. It's 5 years in the future, and there's like a different guy that she's sleeping with. And she's like, what the heck is going on? This is a different apartment. This is not my house. This is not my man. What is going on? This is not the ring on my finger. I don't know what's going on. And so that's where you're like, okay, this is a romance, because we're going to find out how she's able to kind of go through the motions with her boyfriend or with her fiance and find out like why he's wrong for her and her meeting this new guy, right? Like that's what you would think is going on with this book based on the synopsis that was given. However, this is more geared towards her friendship with her best friend Bella. So I feel like if this was marketed more that way, I wouldn't have been as confused. And not to say that it wasn't interesting. It was very interesting and very well written in terms of like her relationship with her friend. It definitely wasn't a romance. It was definitely like an adult contemporary with a sci-fi element with some romance sprinkled in, but not really. Anyways, so her dream kind of shapes the way that things go on throughout the book, but the book is definitely more geared towards her friendship with her best friend Bella than it is towards the romance. I will argue that actually made it really good. Made this book really good, because it was really interesting to see this dynamic between her and her friend. Like her friend is very like, she's like an artist, so she's very like aloof and very you know, she wants to do something, she's just gonna go do it. And her friend's like, well, what are you doing? What do you mean you're just gonna go take a trip? Like, you got work to do. And she's just like, I'm just gonna go take a trip. You know, like she's like that kind of person. It was really good to see the relationship between the two of them. And the men in her life were kind of just like extra. So that's In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. Now that I've got all the books out of the way, let's talk about some TV. I have been watching The Crown, and I had already watched seasons 1 and 2 when they first came out. And then season 3 came out and season 4 came out. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go watch it. And then like I never did. So then finally I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna watch it, seasons 1 and 2. And if you are looking for some drama and some like with historical references, like watch The Crown, because it is so good. Like I'm obsessed with The Crown. I'm about to start season 3. I just finished seasons 1 and 2 and I'm about to start season 3. And yo, it is so good. Like watch The Crown. Watch The Crown, because it's so good. Obviously, it's following Queen Elizabeth throughout her life and her take during these kind of revolutionary points or just monumental points throughout her crownhead? Reign. Throughout her reign. There we go. That's the word. So we just see her perspective on things and sort of like the family dynamics. It's so good. Like to the point where like my husband's not interested in watching the show. And then I put it on and he's like, well, why is she doing this? Why is she doing that? What's going on? Why is that person angry? And I'm like, yo, just watch the show with me, because you know it's good. All right. Next, you should also get on to Criminal, the UK. I believe it's like the UK version. And this is like a really easy show to watch, because I believe the first season is only like 3 episodes. And then the second season is only 4 episodes. We are on the last episode of the second season. And so what this show is about, just like the interrogation proceedings for certain cases, right? And so then they'll have like a famous actor as like the criminal. You just go through like the questions that they're asking, and you would think like, okay, I'm just watching an interrogation, but the acting is so well done. The way that they're able to kind of throw in little plot twists to get like these reveals is really interesting, and it's really good. I highly recommend watching that too. And I feel like it'd be quick, because again, just 3 episodes for one season, 4 episodes for another season. Not that you should watch shows to get through it quickly. Not like you're gonna start watching The Flash and it's 6 seasons in and each season is like 30 episodes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. Like, if you you just want to watch something really good that has to do with like a criminal investigations, then like you should definitely watch Criminal. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, or the next show that I wanted to talk about, was Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, and that's also on Netflix, and that's like an animated sci-fi series, kind of going through, it's like a kids camp or like a summer camp over in the Jurassic World island. Obviously things go bad because you shouldn't be cloning dinosaurs. I put this on for my daughter because she loves dinosaurs and she likes thriller stuff. So I watch it with her and kind of cover her eyes during some of the really scary parts, but she really likes the show. So because I watch it with her, I'm intrigued. I'm dying to finish season 2, but my husband also wants to watch it. So we're all just kind of waiting for the right moment to watch it together, or when my daughter's in the mood for dinosaurs again. But Camp Cretaceous is really good. I mean, like, it has its elements where it's like a kid's show, right? And these kids are doing dumb things that they shouldn't be doing. And you're like, well, why would you be doing that? You're kids. Okay, like, there's like that element to it, but there's a lot of action in this and it's really good. So if you really like Jurassic Park or any of the newer movies and stuff like that, I really feel like you would really like this show, because like, even though it's geared for kids, like, it's actually really good. So you should watch it. I want to talk about 3 movies that I recently watched. The first one is Tenet, and it's like a sci-fi thriller. I forget the actor's name, but I think it's like Denzel Washington's son, like Robert Pattinson, and like, you know, like a few other people. But this movie was really good, but I really feel like I need to watch it again, because there's like this machine that was built where people can kind of go back and forth in time, or backwards and forwards in time. They use it for crime, and some other people are using it to fight their crime, right? And so it's really good, but like confusing at the same time. But I had fun watching it, and so we all had fun watching it. Like, I watched it like with a group, but I really feel like I would benefit from like watching it again, because it's one of those movies where it kind of like mind fucks you. Like, you think it's gonna go one way and then it goes another way, and then it ends with like this heartbreaking moment, and you're just like, no. But it's so good. It's super action packed, fun to watch. Some of the stuff that they're doing, like they're scaling buildings, and the way that they're able to go back in time, or like, especially those scenes where you see them kind of going back in time and stuff, like it's on a level with, what was that dream movie, Leonardo DiCaprio and all the other actors. I'll put it up here, but it was so good. It's like on that level, and I feel like I don't see a lot of people talking about it, and maybe it's because we're all at home and stuff, so people are probably watching it, and you know, we can't all just revel in its genius. But the Tenet, really good. Loved it. So good. Next one I want to talk about is The Croods 2, another animation movie. You know, we got kids, we got to watch kids movies, but this one was so good. Like, if you have kids, especially little girls, like my little girl, there was one scene in this movie where it was just like legit girl power, and my daughter like ran in the room and was like, "That's me!" And it was like the best moment, and it was awesome and so much fun. Like, laugh out loud funny, very clever. You know, I feel like it's a movie for everyone. Like, even though it's like a kids movie, like, it's for everyone. Like, you should watch it. Like, super motivating, super fast paced, but like funny and just so good. Like, we're following cave people meeting humans again. You should definitely watch it if you haven't already. So that's The Croods 2. Last movie I want to talk about is To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and this is like a romantic comedy, and it's on Netflix. Oh, well, all 3 of them are on Netflix, but we only watched the first one on Valentine's Day. It's super cute. I was holding off on watching this movie because I wasn't that interested. Again, like, I'm not really that into romance, but I felt like doing something different and watching something out of the norm that what we normally watch. And even my husband, like, when I was like, we're gonna watch this movie, and he was just like, okay. And we both like had a really good time, like laughing. We would pause it and like talk about certain things and like keep watching it and like laugh out loud funny. Again, I felt like, you know, this movie it was just cute and like feel good. And we definitely want to watch the next one because there were some questions that we had in the end and we're like, well, obviously you're going to talk about it in the movie too. So we're going to watch those. And it was just something to watch together that we both really enjoyed, which is like surprising. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you watch a movie with your partner and you're just like, oh, I'm just going to watch it to make that person happy. But like we both actually really enjoyed it. So that's To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Oh, and if you don't know what the movie is, it's like about this girl and she's got like, you know, she's very shy and like awkward. And so she gets her feelings out by writing letters. And so she wrote letters to some boys that she's had crushes on. Somebody mails them out. Things happen after, right? Because of these letters reaching these people. Lots of fun. I really loved it. Now, we all know I've already talked about My Hero Academia. We're still watching that. And that's like the anime series that we're watching right now. I'm watching that, reading the books. Awesome. I love it. We're going to keep going. It's like one of those shows, like my husband just puts it on and we just watch. And we're just, like, even my daughter watches it. And she's like, my hero, my hero. Like, she loves watching it. We just got to the part with Stain. And so we didn't let her watch those scenes with Stain. That's where we're at in the show. I'm still in the sports festival with the books, so it's gonna be a while. But yeah, and so just like a couple things that are on my radar, like right now I'm definitely, you know, still watching My Hero. Definitely The Crown, so good. The Crown is so good. I'm gonna start watching season 3. And after I watch The Crown, I want to get into Bridgerton. I want to know what the hype is. I want to know why everyone is like obsessed with this show. Like, it looks really cute. Like, it looks like it's, as far as like the costumes and the way that it's shot, like just from like my impressions of the trailer, I feel like it's on a level with The Crown. And I feel like that's where The Crown really shines too, because of their attention to detail in the costumes, the way that they shoot things, even the way that they shoot the scenes in the show, it's so beautiful. And I feel like Bridgerton's gonna be on that level. So I'm not gonna start it yet. I'm gonna finish The Crown and then I'm gonna watch Bridgerton if I have time. So with that concludes my recent reads and recent watches. Thanks for sticking around and watching. Let me know if you guys have watched any of these shows or movies, or you've read any of these books. Let me know what you think, because, you know, I have thoughts. I hope you guys consider subscribing, and all of my social media details will be in the description box. And I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.